Well, hello there. While we wait for my pastor to join us, I want to welcome you to the Second Act show with me, Barbara Brooks. And I have therapists, licensed therapists, that is coming on to talk with us. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all over again when she comes on. But I just want to welcome you to the Second Act with Barbara Brooks, and we've got Sarah in the green room. And so, bear with me. We're going to go live now on. There we go on. Fantastic. Look at this. I am so excited to be talking about life today. It is 2 weeks after the elections. You're mad, you're scared, you're feeling hopeless, you're angry, you're feeling at a loss of words. You've lost maybe family, friends. Maybe you're not even speaking to some of your coworkers. You shouldn't do that. Why? And that is because of the state of today. And so, in this uplifting episode, 2 weeks after the big E, I wanted to bring a licensed therapist and Pastor Downing. Again, we're waiting for my pastor to join us, but we have Sarah Sense who's going to be joining us, and we've got to talk about how it is we can move forward. Again, this is for those of you that, like myself, are feeling at a loss, feeling, 2 weeks ago on Wednesday morning, I was angry. I was angry. I was tearful. I was feeling as if the world was closing in on us. And so today, as I said, Sarah and I are going to talk. And then when my pastor jumps on, we're going to talk about it all. We welcome your questions, your comments. This is an open discussion. This is not to talk about politics. This is to talk about how we feel, particularly as women, and even more so as women over 40. And so in this episode, it'll be packed with inspiration, tools, and insights on resilience and how we can persist. I'm Barbara Brooks, your pro-ager and personal brand specialist and entrepreneur behind the wonderful social enterprise Second Act Women. And like a good mixtape from the 80s, this is the Second Act podcast and live show where I go live every week. Forget about midlife crisis. This is your second act. This is about us and our time to bloom. So tune in weekly as I provide somewhat, if you know me, witty, inspiring chats and information from entrepreneurs, experts alike, and fabulous women and allies in their 40s, 50s, and 60 plus who prove that not only does life get better, it gets more fun as we grow older. So whether you're leveling up in your career, you're starting a company, you have a company, you're about to kick off a side hustle, or you're trying to figure out what the heck is next, because that's happened to us many times. As you think about, what do you want to do when I grow up? That happens. This is your time to find your second act, your glimmer in life. And that's what we're doing today. So grab a cup of Joe, your headset, let's pump up the volume and let's rewrite the rules of aging, because who says we can't have it all? Because we can. We're women and men over 40, 50, 60 plus. And today's episode is brought to you by the Cunningham Clinic. And if you didn't know, I've lost nearly 60 pounds. And it's been pretty spectacular. Thanks to Kimberly Cunningham and the Cunningham Clinic, where you can learn more about medical weight loss programs. I'm also on hormone replacement. That's been a lifesaver, and so much more. So let's dive in. Again, we welcome your questions and comments. Today, here's what we have from the Wall Street Journal. They asked women how they felt. This is literally the day after the big E. They asked women how they felt about the new president-elect, I will never say his name, winning the nation's highest office over Vice President Kamala Harris. More than 5,600 readers in the Wall Street Journal, ages 12 to 94, responded by early Friday, the week of the election, sharing their feelings of sadness, despair, anger, relief for some, and some elation for others. So here are some of the mentions, the words that they use: their rights, They're scared. They're disappointed. They're sad. Another word about abortion and rights. They're heartbroken. Many feel as if it was a slap in the face of not only them, but justice. It feels personal, is what many people were saying. So today, let's talk to Sarah, licensed therapist. Hi, Sarah. How are you
Good
today?
morning. I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing great. I needed to have a conversation because, as I said, many of us have had some real come to Jesus moments with this time in life. The fact that we never thought that we would see what's happening today, and that a new person was elected, and we're feeling, instead of feeling, okay, it's done, what's done is done, let's move on. We're feeling disparaged. We're feeling unwanted for some that are a BIPOC community. We're feeling women. Like, if you're not a cis white male today, many of us are feeling at odds with where are we going today. And we've broken off relationships and such. So let's talk about, first, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who you are? And let's dive into the conversation of feeling better about our future and figuring out ways we can.
Absolutely. My name is Sarah Senst. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I have an office in the Denver Tech Center, but I'm a unique combination of licensed therapist and coach. So I have clients all over the country as well. So that's important to know. My sweet spot is women over 50 dealing with difficulties in transition, widowed, retiring, empty nesters, divorced, that kind of thing, trying to figure out their second act. Today, though, we're here to talk about everyone who is having feelings post-election. And so I'm here to support in that discussion.
Well, and so Sarah, how did you feel after the elections? Let's put aside your therapy work, and how did you feel? Because I'm assuming you felt like many of us, stuck in your thoughts.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, and that's a good point. I think heading into the election, I was hopeful. I was cautiously hopeful, though. I didn't know what was going on late Tuesday night. I went to bed, woke up Wednesday morning, and before I turned on any media of any sort, I thought, "This is it. I'm going to at least get an update, if nothing else." And then turned on the TV to find out that they had already called the president and the election, which I was surprised because that meant a lot of numbers went that way.
Yeah, I have to say that I had a sixth sense. I was spent the night, Tuesday night, with my mother, hanging out with her, and towards, as I was leaving about 10 o'clock, I was having the sixth sense that something wasn't going to be what I thought it was going to be by morning. And I, like 2016, spent the night tossing and turning and wondering if we were going to be, for people that are on the side that I just thought I was going to wake up. Maybe my sixth sense was wrong. So I thought I was going to wake up and see that the results were going to be the way that I was hoping for them to be. And they weren't. And I felt so, like, I want to cry right now. I felt so angry. I felt so like I can't even put the words to it. I was just shocked and surprised, but not oddly. And I think what is more hurtful, I think, is the idea that more than 52% of the United States voted for someone who has no moral character. That is where I'm stuck. And I think that's where a lot of us are stuck. At this point, it has nothing to do with Democrat, Republican, or independent. At this point, for some of us, for a lot of us, it feels as though the world, America, has turned upside down, and just like there's just a sense of, why would we vote for someone who does not validate any of us? Woman, man, LGBTQAI, Hispanic, Black, like Jewish, all of us. that are not cis white male are, for me, I feel as though I am not wanted in America. I know I am but it just feels so. When we talk about that, how do we get past these moments of feeling as if our country has turned our back on us? That 52% of the people say that something else is more important to them than caring for the all of us. That's just how I feel, and I shouldn't. So I'm curious, what would you say to that?
Yeah, no, it's fair, of course, everything that you're feeling, right? You don't have to defend your feelings nor justify your feelings. You're feeling your feelings. Anger has been a common theme that I've been hearing since the election. And one thing I think we want to be careful about is I think we don't want to remain angry. And let me speak a little more on that, though. The reason I say that is anger does not need to be the catalyst for activism, motivation, proactivity, education, things like that. We don't need to come from a place of anger. So we want to eventually.
Yeah.
And today, if you're feeling angry, we want to acknowledge that today you feel angry. Okay. But we don't want to use it in a way that maybe perhaps we have in the past. I believe, because that's the unhealthy part. Because guess what? If we're angry, frustrated, feeling victimized, feeling dismissed, all of those things, that's what we're bringing to the world. And I know for sure, and I happen to know you, I know for sure that's not what you want to bring to the world. And so that's our checks and balances, so to speak. Like, let's feel it for today. Let's be where we are today. Absolutely. But we can move forward out of a different place, not out of a place of anger. And so if we're kind of looking ahead also, that's the advantage of dealing with the anger now.
Yeah, dealing with the anger now. And it's weird because I feel like the anger is still 2 weeks still. And I'm sure someone else said they can totally relate to those feelings that I expressed. And it's weird because the feelings for, I think, a lot of us are starting to subside a little bit. And we're now turning it into advocacy. What can we do on January 20th? Or what can we do on that other date in January that I will not speak of? That can be positive versus rallying in the opposite way that creates havoc.
Excellent.
So you're saying to right now live in the moment.
Yes. Feel your feelings. It's a trite statement, right? But feel your feelings. Since we've got a little extra time, I wondered if we could dig into this anger piece a little bit.
Please.
Okay. And you've been very vulnerable and share to the extent you want, and then don't share if you don't want to. This isn't your therapy session.
But if I can ask those that are watching, we have folks that are watching, please jump into the conversation, because this is a conversation of how I feel, you feel, we feel. And she's here to be with us, and she's felt these feelings. So yes, please. And thank you for the comments thus far. Go ahead.
Excellent. Yeah, please do put them in the chat.
Yes.
Let's dive into anger a little bit. Anger is considered to be a secondary emotion. It's what we show up in the world when we're feeling defensive, when we want to keep people away, when we, want to keep people at a distance. And so that's sort of our secondary emotion. But beneath that is usually another deeper, more significant feeling that is driving the anger. So here's the little exercise we'll do, and with people watching. If I were to take the word anger away from you, Barbara, so anger, frustration, and I don't know, those two, I'm taking those out of your vocabulary for right now. Tell me what else you're feeling, please.
Today, I have to say, because for the first time in my adult life, someone who loves Christmas, but has usually waited until after Thanksgiving, I am feeling slightly more hopeful because I put up my holiday decor, and that makes me happy. That is a part of our family. Our family's always loved it. You would think that after being in the mall industry and planning Christmas every year, starting in July in the mall industry, I would not like Christmas, but I do. Right. So for me, I'm feeling slightly hopeful about myself. I've also, let go of watching. I will fast forward through anything political. So for me, I'm feeling in a better space. So the word would be would be, oh, a word that my pastor used over the weekend was persistent. Persistent. I am going to be
Yes.
persistent in my feelings towards not letting what is happening today bog me down. No, I'm still challenging myself with that, but yeah, persistent.
I love this. This is excellent. We can remain persistent, tenacious, and we can persevere through this and allow that to catapult us forward and not move from a place of anger, as I mentioned. Those are much more empowering. Even if you say the words, I'm angry, you're going to feel a certain type of way, anger. And if you say, but I'm going to persevere, I'm going to remain tenacious, it's much more empowering.
Okay.
So
Why is that? Why is it? Just because we're owning it, because we're putting it out there in the universe, as people would say, and letting it be, and then moving forward? Or
I don't know so much about the letting it be, but the moving forward portion, I think, for sure.
okay.
But I think you mentioned this earlier. When we're angry and we approach something with anger, this is true of relationships, politics, whatever, prices of eggs, I don't know. Right? When we approach something from a place of anger, we're in fight mode. We're in warrior mode.
Oh, yeah.
We're in adversarial mode.
Oh,
we
yeah.
are in a lot of things that sometimes energize us, but I'll tell you one thing, we'll burn out quickly from that. That's not sustainable. And for another thing, I just don't think it's who we want to be, but we get to make that choice. That's all. I'm just proposing and introducing.
Yeah.
Where do you want to come from, right?
You know, interesting enough, the few days after, I along with many other people, I'm sure, were so angry, and it just weighed like days and days. Like I've never felt this way before. I was angry after the other 2016, but yeah, it weighed down for days, so much so that I think a lot of us probably were sleeping. The depression was probably setting in. It's just weird how these times
Are heavy.
I don't know. I'm at a loss. Anyway.
Are heavy. They're heavy. I want to point something out though, Barbara. Look at the human spirit. If you want to rephrase this, we're only 2 weeks out of the election and you're already starting to regain some hope. You're already starting to say, I'm going to persevere.
Yeah.
I'm going to be persistent in this. Whatever your values are, whatever your activism is, whatever it is, that's not that much time. What I want to caution about real quickly is toxic positivity. And here's what I mean by that in this scenario. Let's be really careful not to tell, well, for one thing, not to tell people how they feel, right? Period. Don't tell people how they feel. Second, don't tell them how they should feel. And let's not use dismissive language right now that says, well, Barbara, at least you blah, blah, blah. Well, Barbara, if you just look for the silver lining. Well, Barbara, there's got to be an upside. Now, here's the thing. All of that might be true. It's just not appropriate today. While if we're feeling grief or loss or whatever, that's not where we are yet. And we only have today, right now, right? So does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense because no one wants to be told how they should feel. Yeah, I agree. What do you say to people that find it hard still? Or what should they do? Okay, 2 weeks, they're still harboring anger. They're still in it. They're still, because I see posts on Facebook, and I've stopped I don't do anything political. I stepped away from it because it's not good for my mental health. But what do you say to people then? Are there things that they could do, write down, do something that if they're still harboring that sense of loss? Like someone just said, I felt sad and went into a funk. Now I feel like not caring anymore. I hear this all the time, Sarah. And they say, I hope that it is temporary. I'm avoiding the news and trying to focus on protecting myself emotionally and financially. I can relate to this person, and so many of us can, and all of what Hula Girl 08 just said on YouTube.
Excellent. And it's so true.
It's
So,
still there. And it's only
it's still there. It's still there. Go ahead.
well, and what does it say is what I think some of us are scared of too, along with Hula Girl '08, is that we may be, even for some of us, we may be letting go, easing it up. But come January 20th, the anger is going to be back, I believe. Once things are in office, I think the anger is going to be back.
I've got a little tip for that.
Okay, please. I'm taking notes, girl, along with everybody else.
No,
we're all in a session with Sarah Sense. That's what's happening.
You're very kind, and I appreciate, if nothing else, your respect, by the way. So I lost my train of thought because I'm 61 and I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We're talking about the future and how the anger may be subsided for some now. It's going to be right back January 20th.
Okay, yes. And so I'm not a big fan of that phrase. It is what it is. It is what it is. It just is what it is. There's some truth to that. I understand that. But let me say that to people differently.
Okay.
The more we argue with a fact. So the fact is we have a new president. The fact is the inauguration will occur January 20th or whenever the ceremonies are, right? Those are facts. The more we argue with facts in our own minds and outwardly, the more angst we create for ourselves and anger and anxiety. We do not want to suffer in that way, I don't believe. Okay. Yeah, right. So if you find yourself arguing over a fact, I really want you looking at that and breaking that down and saying that is simply a fact. I have thoughts and feelings about the fact. I can't change the fact. Me continuing to be upset about the fact is not helpful. And we can do that with lots of things in life, right? But it's that arguing with the truth. It's arguing with the truth.
It's arguing with the truth. You're right. And so what we have to do is recognize the fact, own it, own our feelings, and figure out ways around getting over, past it, through it, because what's done is done. America has voted. It's true. All of our rights. So what's done is done. Okay.
That is correct.
So I see what you're saying. So live with the idea that the facts are facts. You can feel your feelings.
But the arguing with the facts is where we run into problems.
Do you have something, Sarah? Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to ask, is there something that you can offer in terms of advice that, again, we can either just we literally are writing an idea, is there a tip that
what I'm going to say, right?
Right? Because for me, I'm a good quote person. So I live by a really good quote. Yes. That's how I unbury myself from thoughts and feelings or inspire myself to move forward. I will go and Google a good quote and so what are some other things that are out there that people can do?
Absolutely.
Aren't a thing?
You know what my go-to is, right? I want you to journal.
Journal. That's right.
You're
right. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Yes. I want you to write until you cannot write anymore. We are going to verbally vomit all over that journal until we have nothing left. Here's the advantage of journaling. A lot of people don't understand it. They say, why journal? Why? There's a lot of reasons, but the main reason is, for one thing, it's private. Some of our thoughts we don't exactly want to share. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, but journaling, get it out. It's intended to remain private. There is no audience for journaling. You can say whatever you want, however you want to say it. And people will say to me, but it's going to bring it all to the surface. It's going to make it worse. Actually, not most of the time. We need to get it out, because if we don't do that, it swirls inside and it comes out in other unhealthy coping ways. Drinking, overeating, overspending, whatever. So if we got to get rid of it, let's do it in a healthy way and let's put it in a journal. Okay. You don't even have to read it. Get it out, rip it up, tear it, send it on its way. So that's my first thing. Second thing, or do you have questions about that?
No, I like that. I like that you said you don't have. When I have journaled before, and I wonder how many people have done this. You'll journal, and then you'll. I'll never go. I never go back to it because I don't want to reread my. I don't want to reread something that was like sad or even the happiness. I like to just. I don't know what it is. So
Well,
should we? Should we also throw it away? Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
You can have a burning ceremony if you'd like.
Right?
Be
Is that a good
safe,
thing?
right?
Write it in.
Some people do like to go back and reread because they like to identify themes, patterns of thinking and behaviors that don't serve them. Sometimes easier identified by reading their own writing. Second of all, they like to do that to sort of monitor or measure their growth. And some people never read it again, and I'm often that way myself.
Okay, so just go old school. And you know what? I think you're saying too, don't even, or tell me if this is an idea. Don't even like old school and write it out, not type it.
And not
writing, right?
Yeah. I am a full believer in writing. There's something about the brain making a connection through the hand, the pen to the paper. This is very old school that has benefit to it. And even energetically, and not to get too woo-woo, but transferring the energy inside the mind, like out and onto a piece of paper, we'll leave that at that. But yes, but I think you'll be surprised if you sit down to do it and really task yourself to sit there until you have released it all. You might be amazed at the number of pages. And we don't judge it, Barbara. We don't judge it. We don't write something and go, well, that was a stupid thing to say. None of it's stupid.
Are there any journal prompts that you would have for us?
Well, let me go back to what I was working with you earlier. Okay. If I take away the word anger and frustration, what am I feeling? This is very important.
Okay.
And this is where that sadness will come up. I feel lost. I feel confused. I feel betrayed. I feel uncertain. There's lots of things. And those are the feelings we want to get at.
Okay.
Anger's a little too broad brushy. Does that make sense? Like anger just encompasses so much.
It does. So are you saying not just the word anger, but any other negative word? Is that what you're saying? You take it away?
Yeah, I like to take away temporarily fight language.
Fight language. Take fight language away. I like that. And then what? Okay, and then what?
So now we're getting to the heart of what we're really feeling. And so pick one of those if you would, just for fun, Barbara. You're feeling dismissed. You're feeling uncertain. You're feeling afraid. What comes next for you?
I'm feeling there was a sense of despair about the future.
The future? Okay.
Of America. And this has nothing to do with, like, I am scared for America and what we stand for and my beautiful country. I'm scared about Handmaid's Tale. I'm scared about Black people, Jewish people, LGBTQA women. I'm scared. Okay.
Completely
That's
fair.
The biggest word for me is
I'm
scared that
you just got to
all
something.
Systems are going to be broken down. There's going to be havoc in the streets. I will go somewhere and someone's going to, and I actually had unconscious bias happen to me at a coffee shop just a couple of weeks ago that I wrote about on Facebook. So I'm scared for other people in a breakdown of civility.
Okay.
I'm scared.
And that's a big one, yes? Because you're not just talking about being scared walking your little doggy at night. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, I'm just scared for humanity. It's like, that's just it's not necessarily me. I'm just scared. Yeah. For the world, for America. I'm scared. Okay, there we go. Am I scared?
Yeah. Think how big that fear is, Barbara.
Yeah.
It's huge, right?
Right.
And so what I'm recommending right now and working with my patients and clients is that we return for now to a micro level. Micro level. And what I'm thinking of, what works for me is community, Denver, as an example, neighborhood. So the more specific area I live in,
Okay.
My family, where I still maybe have a little influence. I have grown children, but but and my family, and then my own heart. Micro, 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 micro to it down.
Okay.
And from there, it sounds like you're feeling that you're needing or wanting or looking for some protection.
Ooh. Okay.
Against the fear. Now, there's a lot of guarantees we wish we had, we don't. Right? We can't guarantee that Social Security is not going to go away and financially we might be impacted or something huge, right?
Right.
But it is important to remember that on a very micro level, if we stay very present in this moment, if I ask you, are you okay? Just, are you okay? Not optimal, not fantastic, but also not, you got out of bed, literally. I mean, in this moment, are you just simply okay? Are you?
Okay. Stand by.
Yeah,
The pastor.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
do what we need
I'm
to
just sending him. I'm telling him join us.
do. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. He had 9:30 on, so stand by. Let me see. Hopefully, he'll be joining the StreamYard in a moment. Okay. So anyway, all right.
Just simply answering the question. When we get so big and so ahead of ourselves in our fears and our anxiety and concerns, we've got to bring it back really small momentarily. Am I okay? In this moment, am I okay? In this moment, is humanity okay? We might not be able to answer that, okay? But I'm just suggesting bringing it small.
Okay. So then what? Because a lot of us have lost our some friends, some people have lost friendships.
This is a whole nother topic, isn't it? It's a whole, because you spoke in the beginning about voting for someone that is potentially lacking moral character and integrity. And now we're looking at relationships and saying, do our values align? Do our morals align? I don't know if they do. And more importantly than that, what's non-negotiable for me? And where am I willing to compromise and be a little bit more flexible?
Right. What do you do? What do you say to that? Because I'm curious what my pastor is going to say too. What do you say to that? Because
please ask him. Oh, I think it's such a personal decision. I don't know if I have anything to say to it other than to raise the awareness around it. And I'm going to plug real quick. We've got a great workshop coming this Saturday. My portion is talking about making values-based decisions. We're talking about in the job and job marketplace, but this applies in friendships, and it's challenging and it's difficult.
It is challenging and difficult because I'm wondering how many that are watching and listening have, and I myself have done it, have let go of relationships, making them more surface level than deeper from how they were before, knowing that, and again, I'm not sure if this is the Christian thing or not to do, but knowing that our values are not aligned, that if someone can be voted in whose values are completely opposite of any spirituality, faith, or anything, just completely, off the walls. Why I think some of us think should they be in our lives, because we just don't agree that having someone lead our America who's also done all these things and crimes, like it doesn't make sense, I think, to some of us. And so we struggle with, well, how can I have that person in my life if we don't agree on who should be honorably leading us in our beautiful country?
It's a challenge. We've been faced with this like never before, or at least not for a really, really, really long time. And, we learned in 2016 to at least stop talking about politics at the Thanksgiving dinner table. But it's gotten deeper and more serious than that over time. And it is, for some relationships, a morals and values-based dilemma.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to that.
Okay. So is there, let's see. how important is self-compassion in these times of uncertainty? And I do want to say, I do believe, because of the way I was raised, I do believe, as being an optimistic person coming from an optimistic mother, that things that while things may get tough for a moment, we will persist and things
Absolutely.
will work out. But how do we have self compassion in these times where yeah, how do we have self compassion? What
It's excellent. It
role?
was my next talking point about what to do now, which
Yeah,
is a return to self-care. A return to self-care. Part of that is self-compassion and showing ourselves grace. Here's the thing. If something major just happened in this country and world, by the way, we're world leaders. It's not just the United States, right? If something significant happened that goes against what we believe to be our morals and values, of course we would be upset. We
right,
would be. So
right.
compassion and grace says, sweet friend, you would feel this way.
Yeah,
It's okay to feel this way. And then I think it's excellent to make a values list. Like, what the heck is important to me?
a
And
values.
how do I return to that? And not just return to that in my mind. How do I live it? How do I walk my talk?
Yeah.
If I say I value X, do I show up in the world like that?
Yeah.
And so self-compassion is huge right now, Barbara, and showing ourselves grace. And give yourself a minute.
And give ourselves a minute, like you said, because self-compassion is very difficult for women because we're so used to caring for each other or caring for others. We're used to, and especially women who are, as I like to call, booming Gen X millennials, because people over 40 were caring for people on both ends. So we don't,
Yeah.
while we hope and wish to have self-compassion and self-care and take care of ourselves, a lot of times we don't, because we have a lot going on in our
We
lives.
have a lot. And
Yeah.
we cannot run on an empty tank. So if self-compassion is refueling our tank, that's what needs to happen right now.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
love quotes and little poems and sayings? At the end, I'd love to close with that, or transition to pastor, whatever you're ready for.
Yeah.
And I have a couple other thoughts. So wherever you're at.
Well, okay. So since I might have to ask my pastor back, it looks like he still hasn't logged in the green
Okay.
room, and
Okay.
so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and close out our free therapy session with Sarah Sent.
Okay.
By the way, you did mention this, for those of you that are watching on Saturday, we're doing a Unstuck boot camp happening. So wherever you are in the world, we're doing this boot camp from 9 a.m. to about 1:30. We have 6 of us that are teaching different elements of getting unstuck, burned out, unstuck about our future, unstuck about where we are in life right now, unstuck about our careers, just all of it, because it happens. And so this is, go to secondactwomen.com and grab a ticket, and we'll see you on Saturday morning on Zoom. So it is going to be on Zoom, and they're only 40-minute sessions, 6 of us, but we're going to have you walk away, right, Sarah, with lots of really great intel and things to move forward. I mean, we've got life coaches. We've got someone who's going to teach us how to use our AI
Yes.
to make a plan for the future and all of that on your
Well, I
professional
think it's
branding.
important to mention that,
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
important to mention that it's interactive. So it's not just sit
Very.
on Zoom for hours at a time listening. It's very
Correct.
interactive, and
Very
there's
interactive.
lots of great takeaway. It's not just, it's action oriented. Do something in the workshop, take it away, do
Right.
more work on it later on. So I think that's important.
Thank you for that. Okay, what do you want to leave us with, and then where can they find you as we finish our therapy session here?
Great. Thank you so much. So I'm on social, Instagram, Sarah_Sensed, SENST. You can connect with me there, or my website, www.mynamesarahsensed.com. I want to leave with 2 things. The first is short. It's a Brene Brown concept where she teaches and says, don't abandon yourself. Now is not the time to abandon yourself. So if we're out spinning in anger and we're out spinning over here and wherever all we might be, return to self, right? We cannot, if you're feeling abandoned by this country or politics or the system or whatever it is, we cannot abandon ourselves. And so there is a return to love, Marianne Williamson, right? But returning to ourselves and not abandoning ourselves. So that was the last kind of closing thought that I had. But I've got a sweet poem, and we can end.
Okay, go ahead and give it to us. Give us a good poem. I'm not your poem girl, but I can't wait to get one now because we all need one.
You love this stuff. Keep my anger from becoming meanness. Keep my sorrow from collapsing into self-pity. Keep my heart soft enough to keep breaking. Keep my anger turned towards justice, not cruelty. Remind me that all of this, every bit of it, is for love. Keep me fiercely kind. By Laura Jean Truman.
Keep me fiercely kind. I like that. I'm going to put that in the show notes.
Sure.
I appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship. Thank you for coming on today. And I thank those of you that are watching. I hope that Sarah was able to touch you today and have you walk away with a little less sense of despair and fear, as Hula Girl 08 says, and scarcity and hopelessness. Because if we persist in what she said, in keeping our kindness, all will be fine. And so thank you for joining us on the second act with Barbara Brooks and Friends. And I hope you found today's insights to be very helpful. And remember that this is your second act, and it isn't just a phrase. It's a powerful opportunity for us women and men and they to really own who we are, own our story, who we are, our future, because we are the future. And for more tools and resources and stories, jump into our Facebook community. There's over 5,600 of us that are from all over the globe. We are based in Denver, Colorado, but we are here to serve all of you. And join us at secondactwomen.com and the Unstuck Boot Camp that's happening this Saturday, the 23rd. So let's continue the conversation and keep building a world where women over 40 lead boldly, live fully, and break every freaking stereotype along the way, breaking barriers, because that's who we are. And I'll see you on the next episode. And 40s are fabulous. The 50s are fierce. And you know what the 60s are? They're a force. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Bye, everyone.